Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 2nd remote meeting of the Appearance Review Commission of the Village of Wilmette. I'd like to welcome any of the public and certainly our petitioners and our guests here and my fellow commissioners. I'd like to officially call the meeting to order. Lucas, could you please call the roll of the commissioners?
Yes. Not Andrick?
Here, present.
Richard Brill?
Here.
Devin Castellano?
Here.
Doug Johnson?
Here.
Mason Miller?
Here.
Jeffrey Saad?
Here.
And Charles Smith?
Yes, present.
Okay.
Thank you. This meeting is a legal proceeding, and all testimony must be given under oath. If you're here and planning to testify tonight, I'd ask that you raise your right hand at this time and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth in the testimony that you're about to give? If so, please say, "I do."
I do.
Thank you. And we'll assume those that may be on mute have done the same. So thank you. We have an agenda this evening that includes an approval of minutes, a consent agenda on which we have one item. We have two cases to be brought before the commission this evening, and then we'll ask for public opinion. What I'd like to do first is ask if there is a motion to approve the minutes from our October 12th, 2020 meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes. Second.
Are there any comments before we take an official approval of the minutes? I think it should be noted that there was a consent at the last meeting that we reviewed. I reviewed the minutes, and I believe, Lucas, those were forwarded to the zoning commission as a result of one of the cases, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the case for Koya was a sign variation case, and those minutes and report have already went to the.
Great, thank you. Okay, hearing no comments on the minutes as written, I'll ask you to take a roll.
Certainly. Not Andrick?
Agree.
Richard Brill?
Approved.
Devin Castellano?
Approved.
Doug Johnson?
Approved.
Mason Miller?
Approved.
Jeffrey Saad?
Approved.
And Charles Smith?
Yes, approved. Okay, thank you. That motion, the approval of the minutes carries. Lucas, could you please present the consent agenda 2020 AR-20?
Sure. The case is for 1114 Central. The petitioner is the Wild Child, which is the existing toy store on the 1100 block of Central Avenue in downtown Wilmette. They have an existing awning and were previously approved for a talent sign. They're now seeking approval for an awning sign to go on the existing awning. So it'll just be painted graphics, all in white, on the existing awning fabric, and will be conforming to the size requirements.
Lucas, could you do a group mute? I'm getting an echo on my
Sure.
end.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute everyone, and if you would like to speak, just unmute yourself.
Thank you, Lucas. I'd ask if there are any questions on this fairly straightforward consent agenda item from any of our commissioners. Okay, hearing none, then Lucas, could you please take a roll for approval of the consent agenda as submitted?
Oh, sorry. was there a motion and a second? Can someone do that?
So moved.
Okay. thanks, Doug.
Second.
Thanks, Devin. Okay, Nada Andrick? Remember, I muted everyone, so you'll have to unmute yourselves.
Not at the top of your screen should be a little microphone, but I believe you can unmute yourself.
Okay,
Okay, it's good.
Okay, approve.
thanks. Richard Brill,
Approved.
Devin Castellano,
Approved.
Doug Johnson,
Approved.
Mason Miller. Oh, Mason, can you?
The screen, the speaker
Well-
went.
Still muted.
There's a little microphone at the top scroll of your screen. Lucas, can we get a little thumbs up from him?
Sure, yeah. All right, thank you. Jeffrey Saad
Approved.
and Charles Smith.
Approved.
Great, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. We have two cases this evening. The first case is case 2019 AR-27. Lucas, could you please introduce this and then invite the participant to present the information?
Sure. Yeah, case 2019 AR-27 for 500 Skokie Boulevard. The petitioner 7-Eleven, as Chairman Smith said. And they are requesting an appearance review certificate to complete site work to accommodate the new gas pumps, including a new canopy lighting and landscaping. And this case was before the commission last year. And they were, at that time, they were seeking approval for new landscaping, I guess, removal of pavement, and as well as a ground sign and a sign variation request to place signage on the canopy. They were approved for their site work and landscaping with the condition that the landscaping will not block any site obstructions. And the sign variation request for signage on the canopy was given a negative recommendation, and the applicant chose to withdraw that request. So now no additional signage is being requested at this request. So the only signage that will be, if you go by the site, any signage that will be added will be the ground sign, which is I guess there's a ground sign there, but they'll be replacing that ground sign. This proposal does not include any signage on the canopy itself. Certainly there'll be signage and information on the gas pumps themselves. But as part of our sign ordinance, signage and information located on the gas pumps themselves are exempt from our sign regulations. So that content is exempt. So really the main focus of this is the revised landscaping, which is a little bit more, I'll let the landscape architect talk about it, but it's a little more simple, lower to the ground. So it's going to be less of a maintenance for the applicant and or for the for 7-Eleven, and hopefully something that will um, be less of a maintenance and therefore look better going down the road. And with that, I don't know if Todd or Kevin would like to add anything.
Yeah, my name's Kevin Wolf. Todd Myers, the landscape architect. He's not on the call.
Okay.
I am an engineer and project manager for this, supporting 7-Eleven. And no, I think Lucas's summary was, accurate and reflects everything that was presented in the agenda as well. So I don't know if there's a need for me to repeat any of that, or if you need anything specific from me, but I basically agree with that summary. A quick comment on the landscaping is that, yeah, we took an approach to go with more native and indigenous plants to be lower maintenance, kind of just more naturally occurring plants to the area. And that's the most recent iteration of the landscape plan has those types of plants. I don't know if there's any other questions or anything you need me to kind of speak to.
Can we hear a little more about the types of plants? Is it the 4-season landscaping? I mean, what's going to happen in the winter? Do we have some evergreens there? And can you give us a little description, please?
I can't speak knowledgeably to it. I'm not a landscape architect, but I know that there are grasses proposed. There should be a list of the plants included in the landscape plans, and a diagram showing where each of those plants would go. But I do recall seeing many grasses and junipers, which I think would probably fall in line with evergreen or coniferous. But that's probably all the detail I can give you.
What I'd like to do is go actually, and I'm going to come back to that similar question, Nada. But what I'd like to do is go around to each of the commissioners to offer the ability to ask Kevin questions, because I think this is not only, if I'm not mistaken, the landscaping that we're approving here, but it's the new lighting on the canopy, correct, Lucas?
Correct.
Which has not been mentioned yet. So it's important for the commission to understand that the full package of what we're being asked to approve here. I'd like to ask Kevin, give you one more opportunity. I know Lucas gave an overview, but I just brought up the lighting. Is there anything else that hasn't been mentioned that's part of this that we should be considering?
Yes. So ultimately, the objective from 7-Eleven here is to replace the underground storage tanks for fuel and the fuel dispensing equipment. And as a result of the application process and working with planning, that has resulted in requests from Wilmette, which also included closing of 2 of the entrances at the site, the 2 entrances closest to the intersection. So what we're proposing includes that modification to the property and the adjustment to, I guess, eliminate those entrances and then add landscaping and sidewalk to those areas. And then because of the request to close those entrances, we had to redesign the configuration of the dispensers, which then resulted in a new canopy being required. We weren't able to use the existing canopy with the columns in the format that they were in. So to, I guess, summarize our application, it is the remodeling of the fuel system, the replacement of the fuel dispensing system, the closing of the entrances, a new canopy with associated lighting, and all of the modified landscaping.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that additional summary, I'd like to go around to our commission and ask individuals to give them the opportunity to ask Kevin questions. Devin, I'd like to start with you, please.
Sure. And I'm sorry if some of the information is in the packet. I'm realizing how awful my eyes have become in trying to read this. So is the canopy, is it in the same location or is the canopy location changing?
It's generally in the same location. The footprint of the canopy is slightly smaller than what's existing,
Okay.
but in general, the canopy is essentially exactly right where the current canopy is.
And I'm assuming it has lighting that's on when the gas station is open. Does the lighting turn off then when it's closed?
Well, it's a 7-Eleven.
Is it open 24 hours?
You know, I actually need
It
to
is not open 24 hours.
Okay.
We actually don't have any 24-hour businesses in Wilmette. So my guess is they probably would they're allowed to go at least until 1 p.m. without a 24-hour business license. I don't know their current hours, but that's a good question. Certainly if they're not going to be in business overnight, that's a good point.
And then it looks like from the plan, along with closing that entrance that's right at the intersection, it looks like you're increasing the amount of impervious surface of more landscaping. Am I reading that correctly in the plan?
Would a landscaped area be considered an impervious surface?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Pervious.
pervious.
Okay. Yes. The pervious surface
Is increasing.
area would increase.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then
the best if you're looking at the plan, kind of the best plan to look at is L100, which is just after the canopy drawings,
yes.
and that's showing. You'll see the diagonal lines
Yeah.
representing all the concrete that's going to be, or I shouldn't say all of it, but you can see the existing curb cuts. There are 2 existing curb cuts closer
Yes.
to the intersection. So those curb cuts are being removed, and that was at a request by our village engineer.
Got it. And then, and the ground sign that's being replaced, being replaced in kind, so it's the same size. And Lucas, we don't need to review that because
Correct.
it's just,
That was previously approved.
okay, got it. I think, the only other question I would have would be following up with Nada's concern or just inquiry regarding, the plantings. I know there's a list right here. I see some of the grasses and some of the daylilies, but I know some of those won't survive the winter. So it would be great to have something year round that looks live and well. But that would be it for my comments.
Thank you, Devin. Mason, do you have any questions or comments for Kevin? I think Mason, if you have, I believe you could send in questions. There is Lucas, it looks like there's a little note up there that you could potentially write notes in.
Yeah, let me just share my screen quick. I can show you where that is. Whoops, wrong screen. Okay, are you able to see this up right here, show conversation? And then this is the, I don't know if you're using if you're using a Mac, it might be a little different, but this turn the microphone off and on.
Okay, Mason, so what we'll do then is on that little note card type of device, if you have questions to submit to Kevin, please do so. We'll move on to Nada. If you have any further queries or questions for Kevin?
No.
Okay, Richard.
Yes. Yeah, I'm unmuted. I trust.
You're good.
Yeah. I asked our guest, in light of the original presentation to us last year or many months ago, and some of the changes now, I wanted to affirm that the sign will be all one color, which is white, and no signs, no other colors, no symbols on it. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, and the columns are going to be one color, and I think Lucas told me that they're going to be gray. Is that correct?
That's what's identified on the plan. It gives a swatch for a Sherwin-Williams color.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, and finally, how many gas pumps will be in the final plan?
I believe there will be 3.
Okay, that's what, are there 3 now? And there'll be 3 in the
Yes.
future? Okay, they'll be moved slightly, they'll be rebranded, like those figures.
Yeah, that's right. Essentially, the dispensers are just getting rotated 90 degrees. So they'll more or less be in the same position, or same location, rather.
Okay, so the only colored signage, logos, whatever, will be on the gas pumps and attachments to the gas pumps.
And the monument sign, the price sign.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, that's fine. Those are my questions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Jeff, like to give you the floor, please.
Yeah, thanks. A couple of things. The original package that we put together on the package on sheet G8.0, in talking about the canopy, I just wanted to clarify, it said signage is under separate permit, verify quantity and location of signage allowed. So, and is this, in Lucas, if you could remind me, is this where the mobile's in front of the 7-Eleven and it's a different brand of gasoline? Is that this project?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Same project.
Okay.
So they're switching gas suppliers.
Okay, so it's a different gas supplier than the previous mobile that was coming in.
Sorry, when we reviewed this in September of 2019, Mobile was the gas supplier at that time. So it's
The proposed gas supplier.
Okay.
right.
And is that no longer the case?
No,
that is still the
sorry,
case.
that is the case.
Okay. Well, because they had signage, illuminated signage, colors, everything on the canopy, and that's all gone away?
Correct.
Okay. It's hard to believe, but okay, I'm going with it. And then
Well, I get the main
it's
reason is
yeah.
The main reason is because it was given a negative recommendation
Okay,
by the commission,
got it.
and so they chose to just withdraw the request because they didn't think it was going to be approved by the village board.
It's
Great.
not an atypical request. It's something we see in many other municipalities, many other states, where the canopy is just, tan, a single color canopy fascia. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take it like that. And then the last time that we were there, the illumination on the pumps and the screens that were on the pumps, that was a question that we had of how bright are they on all night, or sort of that other advertisement bit. of it. I don't know if there was any comments or recommendations after that because it sounded like the pumps change every 6 months of the design, but those TV commercial, infomercial things seem to go on all the time.
I don't believe that our dispensers have a TV screen proposed. There could be a screen for, entering in credit card information, that type of thing. But I don't believe that these dispensers have it. There won't be a, infomercial type thing running on them. It's just functional. This is the Encore. Yeah, there's no TV
There's no
screen.
video display. Okay, good.
Yeah, and that could always be a condition of approval if you wanted.
Okay.
That's something that we can't control because it would be considered video, which that's not allowed by our sign code.
Okay. All right. Well, those are the questions. I'm sure Doug will bring up the color of the light and we'll go from there.
Well, I've got his back if he doesn't. So,
All right.
Chairman Johnson.
I'm saving it for everybody.
Commissioner Johnson, sorry, your floor.
You can read my mind. Just as a comment, a follow-up on the question about the companion mark and the logo on the canopy, without formally opining on it, the canopy is being demolished, and it's a non-conforming use. So my view is, and I think it's the village's view, is that you would have to have a new sign request because it's not grandfathered anymore once the non-conforming use is demolished. So I think that's part of the reason, and obviously a condition of this. Follow-up question, yes, on the lighting. First, a little more on the pumps. I'm not sure I can visualize them. What kind of outward lighting do they have? Do they have pump toppers that have light that spreads across the asphalt? Or are they brightly lit on the front for logos? Can you describe from a lighting standpoint how the individual dispensers are formatted?
I can do my best. The dispensers are a typical model that you would find, at any relatively recently upgraded store. Come from, your fuel grade numbers. There would be a backlight near the area where you enter your credit card and the associated information. And then there's the small screen that asks things like, would you like a receipt? And the kind of, LED backlight associated with that. I don't believe there are any lights underneath the topmost part of the canopy. Sometimes you'll see that where it'll, there will be lights pointed down on the top of the dispenser, and I don't believe that's the case with these. So it'll really just be buttons and the backlighting of the screen that prompts the various questions.
Okay, that's useful because you can end up with quite a bit of light poured down on the pavement. So now the question comes to canopy lighting, and we've had discussions in a lot of these reviews about the temperature of light, and the village is trying, I believe, to head towards a warmer light. Now I know commercial properties are different, and I just want to understand what your proposal is on the Kelvin temperature. And then I would ask Lucas how that compares to commercial lighting and other similar type of situations.
Another disclosure here, I'm not a lighting engineer, so I can't speak knowledgeably to that. But what I can tell you is that 7-Eleven sources their equipment from suppliers that carry, kind of full suite of available options for industry-wide. And I'm sure if there was something that the village specifically desired in terms of lighting, that would be an easy modification for 7-Eleven to make and to propose and to install. So I think the best way to proceed here is to get guidance from the village on what you would like to see, and we can essentially do that.
Right, because I think one of the notable things about service station, especially pumpers, is the light can get pretty bright, and this is next to a residential neighborhood. So my suggestion is we're thinking I would do an upward cap of about 4,000, but I don't know what, Lucas, how you view that.
Sure. The village, I guess the village code does not specify a color temperature. They kind of leave it up to the commission to consider, each site individually. But it has been the preference of the commission to approve lighting, around 3,000, no more than 4,000. The most recent proposal we had for Jewel, I believe that was a 4,000 K, which is being installed currently. So it'd be interesting to see what they look like. I have not been over there, but 4,000 K in my experience is still softer. I think 5,700 is going to be quite a stark difference to most lighting that you see in the village.
The color ranges, if I may interject here, the color ranges of 3,000 to 4,000 Kelvin is more yellowish white. From 4,000 to 5,000 Kelvin is white and blue, entering towards the upper end being blue. 5,700 Kelvin certainly will be in the blue range. So if we're going to be consistent, and it's up to this commission, then it certainly is out of bounds that the 5,700 would be approved based on what we've discussed and tried to maintain previously. There are two other options in the lighting fixture schedule that on the cut sheet. One is a 4,000 Kelvin and the other is a 3,000 Kelvin. So I think in the third, which is submitted, is the 5,700. So I think we would have the option to conditionally approve on one of the others should we so choose.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I think that the Jewel precedent, I think precedent is important here. And I think the context of the Jewel is the upper end. And I would, obviously, all the commissioners will have their view on that. The other question, and I'm not sure I understood it because I agree that the print's awfully small on this one, is the spillover on the lighting. Has that been evaluated by the village?
It has not fully been evaluated. I requested the information, but have not received information for the entire site. There's photometrics in the packet, but they're really only about 20 feet out from the source of the light, so it doesn't go all the way to the property line. So no, we do not have complete information on that.
So I guess my last comment on that would be we would need that complete information because that could kind of get loose from all of us. So in any event, those are my comments and questions.
Have I missed any of the other commissioners, or have I? Did we have the ability to communicate with Mason? Or has he dropped, or has he submitted any questions?
Looks like, yeah, it looks like Mason dropped.
Okay. That's unfortunate, but it's part of the world we're in, unfortunately. So Kevin, I do want to echo Commissioner Johnson's comments that we have an obligation to the neighbors specifically because they're residents to the north and to the east of this site to understand what the lighting levels are at the perimeter of the site. And that's typically something that almost, I don't know that we've ever approved anything without that information, to be honest, especially on a canopy that's more than 13 feet in the air. So I'm personally going to need to see that before I can approve a submittal like this. Perhaps when that is submitted, your client could go back and look at the color of the lighting that's being submitted to us. You just heard probably an inability to approve a 4,000 Kelvin, but a 5,700 is going to be difficult to go through. And while I'm appreciating your fact that you're not a landscape designer or architect, but that was frankly the point of focus in the last meeting. It was the landscaping, and not only the comments of Commissioner Andrick as well as Castellano, but I would have a question of what are the heights of the landscape at full bloom that are being offered or on the current plan. It's a nice diagramming plan, and it's great that it actually is adding more pervious area to the site. Our biggest concern was the height of those as the plants would grow immediately adjacent to the sidewalks as cars are pulling out. And I can't tell unless you can tell us what the heights of the mature plants would be right at that sidewalk where the two entrances are.
I can fill in here. I did talk to the landscape architect.
Okay, great.
A month or two ago when they were designing this landscaping, and they did specify that the landscaping was being designed so that at full height landscaping would not exceed 3 feet.
Okay. Okay, very good.
As far as the species mix and whether or not it's going to provide 4-season landscaping, that I cannot guarantee. I know some of the grasses, depending on how they're being maintained, they'll die, but they'll still, I shouldn't say they'll die. The leaves will die back.
Right.
Right. So they'll change color. They'll still be there.
Sure.
They'll provide some landscaping, but it won't be like a large evergreen shrub.
Sure. Okay. Okay. That's a lot of feedback. We have some concerns, obviously, on the lighting, and the feeling is that there's some more information that could be provided on that. Is there a benefit of again splitting this apart, Lucas, or not, relative to the landscaping versus the canopy lighting? Does that help in any way, or not having taken a vote yet? Or is that something, Lucas and Kevin, that is not something that benefits the client?
It's my understanding that the current gas pumps that are there are either not functioning properly or not functioning. So the idea of allowing them to start the replacement of their tanks and some of the work necessary to remove some of the curd cups would be, I'm sure would be appreciated. I think some of the lighting for the canopy, I think that's completely reasonable to want to see that information. But I think we could help move their permit along for at least the demolition and the site work, so that they could
Yeah,
start
and
replacing
that
that.
would right, that would be important, and, you know, we don't want to stop the forward movement, but there's an obligation to the neighborhood. So perhaps there's a motion that could be formulated that would separate the canopy lighting and out from the balance pending the receipt and approval of a photometric analysis and a revisiting of the lamp colors.
Kevin, are you able to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I mean, I from a process standpoint, I don't know what would be the most efficient. I think it is not going to be difficult to obtain an updated photometric plan that covers the whole site, and also to alter the type of lighting that's being proposed to, my understanding is, get it below 4,000 Kelvin. Is there a lower number that should, I mean, if you guys give me the number, we'll make the number happen.
Yeah, no, that's a good question,
Yeah.
Kevin. The spec sheets that of the lighting that were included in the construction documents that were submitted, the type of fixture comes in 3 different options: 3,000, 4,000, and 5,700. So I think the 3,000, I mean, they make it. So I would assume that would be something that 7-Eleven would be able to source.
Yeah, I agree. So
Okay.
you know, if it creates more work for you all in the process of splitting this up, then I don't think that's necessary. I think I can just work on getting these revised plans essentially and resubmit, and we can keep everything as one.
An observation, I think that's very useful. An observation about the lighting, and I appreciate your flexibility. In the process, you all are going to probably want to evaluate other lighting, whether it's the lighting on the existing signs and so forth, to be consistent. And I just think if we do this kind of conditional approval, I'd hate for a surprise to happen. So I think it would have to be, I would make a motion based on photometrics that are within, no exceptions, of the village standards, and that lighting, we can, what other people think, specify it so that there's kind of not a surprise for you folks down the road.
That's fine by me.
So Doug, are you recommending that we have a motion that includes those items now for considered for approval?
Yes, I am. So moved.
I'll second it.
So who said second?
Mr. Saad.
Okay, and did that motion include a recommendation for a 3,000 Kelvin canopy lamp?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
I'll second that one as well.
Okay, and just so I'm clear, when I'm doing the write-up, this is for the plans to be submitted, or plans to be approved as submitted, with the condition that the lighting be switched to 3,000 K and that the lighting levels not exceed the village's requirements. Is that correct?
Correct.
And with a revised photometric plan.
Well, yeah, is that something that the commission would want to?
we would like that to be submitted as part of the record as a follow-up, please, to confirm that it does meet village standards. But we'll go on good faith that will be submitted, recognizing it will take a little bit of time to pull that together.
Okay, great. All right, I'll read the roll. Nada Hendrick,
What are we voting to approve as discussed and stated by quite a few of you?
Yes.
Okay, I agree.
Richard Brill,
Approved.
Devin Castellano,
Approved.
Doug Johnson,
Approved.
Mason Miller. Oh, is Mason on the call? No. Okay. Jeffrey Saad
Approved.
and Charles Smith.
Approved.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Kevin. Appreciate your working with us and look forward to getting that submittal on the photometrics.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great night.
Lucas, could you please introduce the next case?
Sure. Next case is 2020 AR-19 for 1168 Wilmette Avenue. The petitioner is requesting an appearance review certificate to remodel the storefront, including new windows, relocation of entrance, a new knee wall material, and lighting. And just want to point out to the commissioners, so there's no color rendering as part of the report, but the last page of this particular report is a photograph, and that photograph is the existing brick on the building, and below it is the proposed wood paneling, which has been painted. So that's the actual color of the. And with that, Michael, if you or Joel would like to just give a quick presentation or description.
Hi, Lucas. This is Joel. I'll give a description.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Lucas, could you mute everybody again? It's getting some
Sure.
feedback. Thank
Sure.
you.
Yep, no problem. Okay, everyone is muted. Joel, you'll need to unmute yourself. Okay, great.
All right, so the restaurant is Pit and Tap. So the use is from one restaurant to another. It's a restaurant and bar, it's a barbecue. And we're trying to reinforce the branding of the bar and restaurant. So we have wood on the facade, and we're reusing the existing brick, and we're changing the opening sizes. We're actually raising the knee wall so that up to counter height, so that patrons can sit and look outside. There'll be a counter that's running across the interior, and we'll have folding doors, nano style. And there will be more glass than before. What we're doing is taking the wood actually covers the knee wall below the sill. And in cases where we're patching existing brick, where we're moving something and actually creating an area where we need to install new brick, we'll pull existing brick from the knee wall and install it higher. The wood knee wall will actually cover the patches of brick that will move in. We also have a wood transom that's above the door, and the wood on the facade maintains it's in context with the proportions of the historic buildings in downtown Wilmette. We also have traditional gooseneck fixtures, which are lighting the front door and lighting the facade.
Oh, Charles, you're muted.
Thank you, Michael. Are you a part of the client team here?
Hi, yeah, I am. My name's Michael, and I am the owner of Pit and Tap, and so yes, I'm quite a part of it.
Okay, and in that space right now, what is in there?
Formerly Nick's Bar and Grill.
Oh, okay, so you're taking over the Nick's space. Got it, got it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's great for the village. And is this the entire Nick's storefront that you're looking at here?
Yes, that's what, yeah.
Okay, very good. And does the existing, well, I have questions, but what I would like to do is go around like we did in the previous case and give our commissioners an opportunity to ask questions. In this, Lucas, point of clarification, this is there's no variation or requested here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. So then I'd like to start by asking Commissioner Johnson if he has questions or comments for our applicant. Doug, you're going to have to go on off of mute, please.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
The one question I do have is, I understand you're installing lighting, and I really am having trouble reading this, it's so small. What kind of lighting, what's the color temperature? Because it's really critical on this one.
So it's actually anodized aluminum, and it's a gooseneck. So that's the gooseneck, traditional gooseneck shaped light with a fixture in front. It's manufactured by Baselite. That's typically what we would specify. The color temperature, I'm gonna have to pull up the drawing to see what temperature we specified, but I mean, I don't think it's an issue to bring the temperature down to whatever you would prefer. But give me just a minute. I'll tell you what. Let's see, what did I put on the drawing?
There is an option for a 12-watt LED bulb, which is at 3000 K. So the two options are 3000 K and 5000 K for the LED bulbs with this particular fixture.
Would you like us to do the 3000?
Oh, I certainly would, yes.
Okay, that's not an issue.
I think that's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Brill, do you have any comments or questions for our applicants? Lucas, he seems to have gone off screen here. I don't know if this is the moment where Richard needs to step away.
Okay.
I'll move over to Commissioner Saad.
Hey, a few questions for you for the existing elevations and then the final color sheet attached to the brick. On the detail, you talk about that cedar plank, and
Yeah.
on the elevations, is that just under the windows on top of the brick? Is that the dotted line? Is that what I'm looking at?
So it's under the sill and it's over the brick. So there will be CDX plywood that will be adhered to the facade, and then there'll be short nails for the cedar plank to go into the plywood.
Okay, but then the brick goes all the way down to the ground?
The brick does go all the way to the ground. The existing brick goes to the ground.
Okay. But I guess that 3'6" band at the base where you're infilling the glass, that's all new brick, correct?
Well,
Page A103.
So you're talking about where we're infilling, when we're raising the knee wall. That will
Yeah.
be infilled with new masonry, yes.
Okay. And then on that new masonry, that's where the dotted line is showing where the painted or the cedar plank would be.
Correct, right.
And is it a blue color?
It's blue,
Bluish? Okay,
yes.
so I'm reading that right. Okay. The one thing when we did go, when we did Sophie's Steak House when they came in town during the pandemic, and I'm glad to see that this is being reworked as well. So very interested. The only thing that I think helped them were the canopies as well, and I know you don't have canopies, and I don't know if it's part of the availability to have canopies or not, but more of an opportunity or a question. And I mean, it's a simple design, reusing the infill brick where you need to over the door. That white brick will probably look fine. I just wondered if you ever think you're going to have to come back for the canopies or a canopy over the front door so people aren't getting wet when they're coming into the.
So first I'd say that we don't have, the signage is not included in this application.
Got it.
If we do canopies, and I'm going to let Michael answer that more directly, then that would come under the signage as well. The other thing is the brick is actually a little bit yellow, so the blue actually is the complement, and the colors will work really well together.
Joel, I'm not sure I understood. The cedar plank is that full 3'6" height from base of window down to the ground, correct?
That's right.
It's not just in the infill area where the old glazing was. So Jeff, that's a full band of blue, that 3'6" high across the bottom of the restaurant facade.
Okay. So the only place you'd see the white brick is over the door?
No, that's not true. You'd see it in between the glass, and then you'd see it up towards the top at the parapet. So above the glass, to the sides of the glass, and also between the glass and the doors, and then all the way up to the cap on the elevation is all original brick. There's dentals and some decorative pieces up there too. That's all being maintained. The existing lintel is remaining at the same location.
Yep. I guess where those two A's are, that was the reused existing face brick.
Right.
So, I guess if that 3'6" base band is all covered by the cedar plank in front of it, I guess I only see it above the door as the white brick, but Charles, is that what you're seeing too, or am I wrong?
No, he has the brick infills were between the glazing.
Uh-huh.
And then across the entire top of the facade is the brick, right?
As the existing, right?
Exactly. Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So wherever you see the brick pattern, which is slightly darker than the wood plank, that's all original brick. So that's all the original brick on the building. And then below the sill, 3'6" and down, that's the plank, and then the plank is also above the front door.
All right. So when you say the plank, I guess it's small pieces, maybe 4" by 1 foot long.
We're likely going to go on further conversation. The planks will likely be longer. We want to minimize the number of joints.
Okay. So I guess that brings me back to if the wood's going all the way down to the sidewalk with the snow and the salt that we put on the sidewalks, I'd just be concerned about that, and shovels and people sort of going on the edge where the cedar would be, going all the way down to the ground.
That's a fair comment. What we'll do is we'll leave a reveal so that it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, and then the brick beyond will protect the building.
Yep. Okay. And then, so you'll submit another signage package with that new backlit exterior sign any signage on Canopy, or that's a future package to come?
It's a future package to come, right?
Okay. All right. That's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner Castellano.
So I just had a few questions. What is the lintel? Is that going to be painted, or is that stone right now?
Well, the lintel is steel and it's buried in a little bit. There's a horizontal stone band that's existing, and that will remain, and it's limestone. So it's original for the building.
And then what about the mullions for the new window system?
Dark bronze anodized aluminum. So they won't be black, but they'll be very dark.
And then the lighting. Sorry, I have
It's okay.
background noise. the light fixtures. What will those be?
Those will be a similar, like we're going to try to color match them to the mullions. They'll be very close. They'll be a dark brown also. So what we'll do is we'll compare. They have a dark brown and then a dark bronze. We'll hold them up to the samples and we'll match it.
Yeah, I think with all the different materials, trying to keep the variation down, especially if you're going for a bright color, and then obviously with the stone and then the brick, keeping any sort of metals similar color will be important. And then I have the same concern that Mr. Assad had about just with shovels, and then especially if the cedar wasn't painted, you would still have to deal with some wear, but with it being painted, I don't know. Lucas, what did they use to shovel the sidewalks on Wilmette Avenue? Is it by hand, or are they using machines? What do they typically do?
They use little small plows. So they essentially, the village will come through and plow the sidewalks if it's like 2 inches or more of snow, and they just kind of do one swath through, so they won't get necessarily that close to the wall. They'll stay back a little bit just to make sure they don't damage anything. That's kind of how they do it. Not to say that they won't at times get close, and they'll probably
Sure.
push snow up against the building. So that's certainly a possibility, but in general, they do kind of a wide swath through the middle of the sidewalk, and then each individual property owner or business will kind of shovel up the rest.
Okay, so it's something that you might want to just consider. One other question: is there going to be is there outdoor seating or landscaping, or what's will be occurring on the sidewalk?
Okay.
Michael, do you want me to just? I'll just
please.
explain what the village is doing. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of the construction in downtown Wilmette. And so the village will be redoing the sidewalks and the landscaping. There's not going to be any landscaping directly in front of this business in the current plan. So there will be fairly ample room for them to provide outdoor seating. That large, I don't know if you've been by there recently, but there had been a pretty large planting bed, so that planting bed will no longer be there. And as part of the planning, we realized it's right in front of a restaurant who can really use outdoor seating. So that's going to be removed, or at least limited to Michael's Cheers.
Yes, that's correct.
But yeah, sorry, Michael, if there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, that's exactly it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Andrich.
Oh, not a, sorry, you're still on mute.
Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. In my package, I have a couple pages of color sheets. And I am wondering, what are these colors for? Why do we?
Oh, that's a very good question. So those, I believe that those relate to color options for the sconce. And I actually called out the color, which is a dark bronze, in the elevation, but I included that as a color sample.
So this is strictly for the color, for the lighting.
Yes, that's right. That's the sconce. It's the sconces.
For the sconce. So the entire sconce and the arm, articulated arm, are going to be bronze color. And what is this for? What are these colors for? It talks about the glass.
Hold on, let me open the packet.
I think for some of the fixtures, they, Joel, I think in the packet, it looks like they would be covering the bulb itself.
That's right. So we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't put any color on the bulb with a covering. I probably should have taken some of these sheets out. It's confusing.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that, thank you. I would like to join the chorus of my colleagues and talk again about the paint on the bottom here at the parapet. And what kind of paint are you planning to use?
So first of all, it's not at the parapet, it's below the sill.
Which is the parapet of the window. So it's on the bottom next to the.
It's on the base, right? Okay, so I'm gonna let Michael address that because the contractor actually generated the sample.
Yeah, that's a. Are you looking for the brand? Is that what you're looking for right now?
No,
Because
no,
it's
I'm talking about the type, because I
it's
think that you're going to get, after first big snow, you're going to have a big issue with what's going on that bottom of the wall.
Sure, it's a outdoor deck stain. So it's
stain. So it's
Yeah.
not a paint. It's
right.
okay. So it's a stain. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
sounds interesting.
Yeah. So ready to hold up to the weather.
So have you tried or talked to manufacturers about durability in our climate?
Yes, my contractor has used this exact same brand on many outdoor decks in this environment, in this area. So this is a product that has held up.
I'm assuming that there will be some sort of a maintenance schedule so that every 2 years or so, there will be a touch-up or something to keep that always looking as good as you're drawing here?
Yes, I mean, for sure. I mean, keeping the restaurant looking good will be an everyday occurrence.
Okay. Well, these are the two major concerns. I think
Thank you.
Others were already addressed.
So
Thank
I could add that if it's a stain, it's really penetrating the wood.
Yeah.
So it's really not going. It's much more permanent, and even if the wood is chipped a little bit, it should maintain the color.
Okay.
Thank you, Nada. Richard, I believe you have not had a chance to ask questions yet, correct?
That's correct. I'm back. I apologize for having disappeared for a few minutes, as I indicated earlier. I'm back now. and I apologize if somebody asked these earlier. Below the windows, it shows as brick. And there's a, dotted area that says cedar, painted cedar plank. And then in this diagram over here, it's all the way across on the bottom.
So,
And I'm wondering what it's
So I
supposed to look like.
I can address that. So the entire area below the sill of the new window, that is where the plank is, just
Okay.
there. And then there's the section above the front door, which would be proportionally the size of the transom. That's the other area where the blue cedar is.
Okay, so everything below the windows will be painted blue wood.
Correct.
Okay, great. The windows are openable. Are they completely, when you slide them all the way, would the two areas be completely open if you wish to do that?
Yes, they're folding panels and they'll open completely. So
Okay, great.
it's really great for pedestrians and the feel of downtown.
Okay, great. Is this the property where Nick's Bar and Grill, or whatever it's called, is right now?
Yes,
Okay. Are these different owners or the same owners?
different owners.
Okay. Very good. All right. My fellow commissioners have asked, good questions, and I will pass on going any further. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Have I missed anyone in our commission? Okay, I don't believe so. Okay, I have a couple of questions. Michael, you mentioned your contractor who has used the stain in the product before. Who is your contractor?
J&J Construction. Yeah, J&J Construction.
Are they a Wilmette, North Shore?
They're no, they're I believe in the Cary area.
Okay.
They're a little farther out west.
All right. Lucas, do you know if they've built in the Wilmette previously?
I am not sure about that. No.
Okay. Okay. Michael, have you used them before?
I have. Yes.
Okay, very good. My next question is, it indicates you have a new door location, you have a new wood door. By the looks of the drawings, that is a solid wood door. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so my question is, with patrons coming in and out and somebody opening the door and somebody likely standing on the outside in a solid wood door in a restaurant or a public retail venue, could you explain the choice of a solid door?
Sure. So there's a side light right next to it.
Right.
And so if you're
see that
coming towards the door from either side,
what if somebody's walking from the south?
Walking from the south and
they're standing there just south, and somebody's coming out of that restaurant and they're pushing that door open onto the street, and assuming that you're going to have nice long lines of people. My concern, as you can tell, is for the safety of somebody standing outside of your restaurant waiting to come in, and somebody, coming out of your restaurant and having had a great evening pushes that door open pretty hard and slams into somebody because they can't see them.
Yeah. I don't have a great answer for it, although I can simply state that I have walked through these types of doors at many a restaurant and bar all over the place. I'm not sure why, if I have a good answer for you at this moment. But having used them as examples is basically where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, and maybe there's precedent for this in Wilmette, Lucas, on any of our storefront doors that are not transparent. Can you cite another example?
Off the top of my head, no. In this particular instance, I mean, one thing that our building inspector, well, I guess trying to think if the door has to swing out, but yeah, it would, because you'd have,
Yeah,
it
for
would
egress.
for more than 50 people. So
Yeah.
the door's gonna have to swing out. I mean, there's options to recess the door sort of as it is now. And that's certainly an option.
Well, I'm bringing this up not because I don't like the look of it. I think it could, and by the way, what color is that door as at least as submitted?
That would be like a cherry, like a cherry wood.
Yeah, a natural wood.
Okay, so clearly it would be, an attractive appearance, but I'm not coming at it from that angle. I'm coming at it from the perspective of safety, as it relates to the materiality.
Sure.
1 second.
And to be just to be clear, I have not showed these plans to our building inspector or village engineer, so I don't know if there are any, building code or right-of-way concerns.
I don't believe there's going to be a code issue. There might be, I mean, I'm assuming it's like use of the public way. So I'm not sure about that part, but I can't think of anything in the code that would preclude a solid door for a commercial product or commercial space.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you guys, Charles back, but for precedence. And there's no indoor vestibule, correct? Just the one door?
Correct.
All
Correct.
right.
One door. Yeah.
So my two least favorite things about Nick's, and then I'll stop. Well,
Yeah.
is one, the acoustics were pretty bad in there. It was a very loud space. So
Really? Because there was hardly ever anybody here.
the acoustics were tough.
At the end,
Gotcha.
Michael, at the end.
Yes.
And the
Well, I know
vestibule was
that's why I'm
actually,
here.
the vestibule is kind of nice. I mean, because it's before you get out, or you don't get that cold wind coming in from the winter when it directly opens into the space.
Yeah,
So-
I'm surprised that you don't want that as an owner, to have a
No,
vestibule.
in fact, it was my least favorite thing about Nick's, to be honest with you, is the vestibule. It took up valuable space, restaurant space, and it just feels like a big interruption in this space. I'm here right now, and I still can't believe it's here. Yeah, that's some valuable real estate that's taking up. Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's-
I may be the one, one concerned most about this solid door, and so be it. But I do think it's a legitimate concern.
I'm wondering if I may, is there a possibility to have, and we had seen that in downtown Chicago, quite a few restaurants have a little canvas entries that sort of creating a little vestibule. And I really do feel that there will be an issue with the air and the unpleasant kind of a feeling coming in and out without any kind of a shielding in front of it. So I was also, somebody mentioned the canopy before. It would be nice if there would be a canopy of some sort in the front. At the minimum, if there could be a canopy that would announce that there is an obstacle. So if you're coming from the south side, that you're a little bit alerted about it.
So first, The tent that's around the doors in Chicago tends to be seasonal. So it's usually in the winter.
And the seasonal is what I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah, that's the intent, to have the vestibule outside in the winter, just the way you're describing it. It's definitely something to consider. So we hear you loud and clear. And I can see all of the other canopies in downtown Wilmette.
So Charles, if I may, I had a couple of comments.
Yes, please.
Thanks. Listening to the questions and the discussion about the wood does concern me. It concerns me more when I think it through and the issue of Chicago winter. And before I voted, I just wanted to express two concerns. One of them is that have to do with the appearance and review standards certificates. One of them is that the similarity or dissimilarity of the exterior materials of adjoining structures. And this is a cohesive, long set of retail businesses, and the wood, I think, is out of character. I also am concerned about standard number 3, about the durable quality of the wood. So those are my comments.
Could I respond?
Of course.
So I think the proportion of the materials actually are very much in keeping with the rest of downtown. So to have the base on the building, even if it's not the literal stone base of the building next door, keeps it in context and makes it very respectful of the existing buildings in Wilmette.
I understand. I think it's dissimilar, though, to the adjoining business. This is all I'm stating.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Any other comments or queries? Joel?
Actually, I did have, I was just pulling up an image as Mr. Johnson was talking. So this band is going to, it's stopping at the door. Is it going to continue on the south side of the door?
Yes.
The blue band?
That's what the drawings show.
Okay, so, and then is there still, so will that, there is the rental, the instrument rental business right on the corner, correct?
Yes.
So how is that transition? Is that band just going to stop at some point at that brick between the two businesses?
So it'll have a stop on the end, so there'll be a solid strip that ends it. So you're asking, is it going to continue around the corner?
I was more concerned about just the termination, since that the wood was going to be sitting proud of the brick, what that was going to look like at the side. And I am a little bit concerned now, just pulling up a street view of how that's going to look between, because right now there is a consistency with the instrument rental business. I don't remember the name of it. And Nick's, there's similar, they have similar awnings. The sill height is similar, it matches. So I would be interested to see an elevation, maybe a colored elevation of that east elevation all the way to the corner, to see how it's going to look next to the business to the south. I don't know if anyone else has that concern.
I support that comment completely. And
Yeah, I started looking, then I went down the street a little bit, then we at Torino, the awning goes away. They have the little vestibule that comes out, even though it's winter and Google's in the summer and they still have it out. So I don't know what went on there, but so there's precedence of breaking up the consistency of that facade if we've already done it on that project.
Would it help to bring up street view?
Yes, please.
I'm unable to. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, so this would be the end on the left side of the storefront, and then it would go to roughly where this tree is. You do see like this black material. Do you know what that is?
That's a metal shutter.
Okay.
So maybe, after looking at the elevation, I think you're right. Maybe it does stop at the door.
That's fine.
Seems like a rational place to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what happens on the other side?
The other side the base will be lower, so it's a different language. So the pilaster can be exposed, and it just comes straight down to the ground, and then it transitions to the lower knee wall. I think that's your actually. I think that's actually good advice. I think we should stop it at the door. It actually will look much better that way.
But Joel, I think Nada's question is what happens on the north side where it meets? I think it would meet that right there. Yes.
I guess you could just extend it all the way to the doorway because they have a recessed doorway right here. So that almost seems like a logical.
Is that black infill panel going away, and that's what becomes the masonry pier?
Well, if it's recessed, how does that turn the corner? And then would you just have that cedar sticking out and the brick on the back side of it?
Yeah, you would. Do you want me to go down the street a little bit and see that angle?
Lucas, for some reason, I don't see what you're showing.
Oh, no? Can anyone else see it?
I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't have it.
Yeah, I see it.
Just a little package.
So yeah, this is where it's recessed.
Well, that seems like the natural termination of the recess.
I guess with the planked cedar stacked with the 4-inch or however wide you're doing, just that corner, if you catch it with a 90-degree piece or a corner guard, or if it's just the cedar sort of proud of the CMU or the brick.
I'm kind of inclined to stop it at the corner and not carry it around the edge, not carry it into the recess, because maybe I'd like to actually take a closer look at the door. But I'm thinking if we carry it along the side to the door, it might hinder the operation of the door. I'm assuming that door opens out.
Yeah, if you keep it and you don't return anything or do anything at the return, it's just the end of that cedar going down that's exposed.
Oh, I think we would put an angle on it and paint it blue.
Yeah,
you're right. It has to be protected.
Yeah, that's.
All right. Did anyone else want to see the street view, or should I close this?
I'm just, I'm trying to think through, are there any other downtown storefronts, Lucas, that have color like we're introducing here? Because there's a fairly consistent dark grays, blacks, masonry palette downtown. And maybe Michael or Joel, what's the inspiration for the facade coloring?
So it really relates to the logo and to the branded color of the restaurant. So it's a clear visual from outside as to, you know, the decor on the inside. It ties the outside to the inside.
Will it be reasonable to ask, and I don't know, Lucas, you probably know, will they be coming back to us with any further signage or colors, maybe even the color of the blue one and the colors for the light, and all of that's pretty significant. And it would be good to see it before it finally goes into construction. At that point of time, we would know the answers to what we were trying to find out now.
Well, we actually have a physical sample, and we also have the photograph of the sample against the brick. But is what you're asking for, is that a rendering, a color rendering?
No, I was thinking about, you said that you're coming back for signage later. And so, and you were mentioning now that there will be some contribution of whatever signage color is. So then it would be kind of good to digest all of these components on that elevation with lights in color, the blue, okay, the walls and so on.
Okay, that now I understand. That's fair. Now, there is precedence in buildings of this age to actually have colorful knee walls, or even to have wood below. I can't speak specifically to Wilmette, but definitely in Evanston and in Chicago.
Well, Joel, that's the thing, is we're the, in many ways, the gatekeepers for Wilmette. It can happen. I know it happens in Europe all the time. That's not our query. It's really, frankly, the contribution to the downtown palette.
So I'm looking at, I just wanted to point out, I'm literally looking out the window at this moment and looking at Pescadero, and certainly knowing Torino right down the side. There's a substantial amount of wood that has been put on both of those facades as in trim. And I don't know if you want to bring those up or whatnot, if that helps, but that I don't think that I'm, there in the middle. I'm sorry. I think I should. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. No, thank you. No, Michael, you're correct, and both of those have come before us before. And I guess what my comment was about the color.
Yeah.
And frankly, both those businesses do have wood. One is weathered, and I believe one has a dark color to it, the Torino. So that's what I think all of us are trying to think through. If you look at the coloring downtown, it's primarily in the signage and the canopies. So that's what the discussion is.
So I'm wondering, following up, I think maybe it was on Nada's comment. I think we don't have a holistic enough view. I hear all this, but again, thinking of Standard 7, we don't see the signs, the awning, the color, the materials, the mass. I mean, it's not clear to me, and I understand that different buildings have different materials incorporated in their exterior, but this is a long building with, that's designed to be similar. So I just feel that it's so dissimilar under part of our standards that I'd have to see how the mass and how it relates. And I do agree the color, and I understand branding, But I think the color is pretty different.
Yeah, I would have to agree, Doug. Okay, with that as a kind of a concern as we're thinking this through, I guess we could, well, let me not kind of conclude anything until people are ready to conclude. Any other queries? Jeff, you really, I mean, you asked good questions about how the cladding of wood is terminated, and I think Joel gave good answers there. What's your disposition on the color issue?
Is the sample at this restaurant now, Michael? Is it outside?
It's right in that vestibule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm sure printouts are different always, and we thought it was a paint, but it's really a stain. So we're not seeing the color of it. When I do look at it, and not to jinx it or anything, but the Firefly that was down that restaurant sort of had that same bluish purple, and that's sort of the color feeling I'm getting from this. And I just want to see it in person. Or
Funny, I know Firefly inside and out. I was almost in spot. It is, this is much more of a, doesn't have as much purple in it. This is more of a muted midnight blue. You know, that's the actual name is Midnight, and not that, you know, the name tells you as much as it should, but it's more in the navy. There's no purple in it.
Yeah, it's looking very purple on my printout, to tell you the truth. Like what I'm looking at, it looks very purple.
Sure, I get it, and certainly it's up against. I mean, you also, you know, it's not actually even white brick. This is like it's a muted pale yellow, and actually that's where we really thought that those two colors actually go well together.
Hey, Michael, can you hold up the sample if it's there?
Yeah, I mean, it's 12 feet long. I
So, no, don't hurt yourself, mate. I don't.
Well, there's no time like the present.
Is that actually useful? Can you do that?
Well, that looks a lot different than what I see on my screen.
Yes, definitely very different.
And it could be the lighting, but yeah, it looks very dark.
Yeah, I mean, that looks nice compared to what the printout is. So
yeah, maybe it's not a bad idea to have the physical sample in your hand just to really see it.
I agree.
Yeah. Well,
I think that would give this commission a lot more comfort, Joel, to physically have seen that, and maybe we need to take the next between now and the next meeting that to do so. I'd like to also, following up on Nada's comment about understanding and seeing holistically, and we're doing this because this is so important to downtown Wilmette, to be honest. I'd really like to understand this facade in the context of the adjacent facades.
Yes.
Because seeing just what we're looking at here on the single small 8.5 by 11 sheet just doesn't give, to me personally, doesn't give me enough confidence yet that that we're actually asking even the right questions in some cases.
So are you asking for a 24 by 36 inch rendered print?
Well, I'm asking for a drawing that looks at the adjacent properties so that we understand the relationships of the materials and the elevations in conjunction with the adjacent sills and materials.
Okay, and do you want it color rendered?
I think that would help, and I think having the sample, as Michael just showed us, it, you know, on the one hand, it looks a lot better than the photos. I agree with Jeff, because mine does look purple too.
So does it help to maybe give pieces of the sample to all of the commissioners to just be able to have and hold it in their
Yeah,
home?
I think if we got it to Lucas, I mean, I don't think you need to necessarily make 7 of them, but if we got it to Lucas, the group could find a way over the next month to get to that sample.
I don't know if it's available that it could be left somewhere that we could see it as we came by, because I'd like to see it there. But also, if I may, I agree with you very much. But I just want to also make sure this isn't going to get incrementalized. If we're thinking or planning of having an awning or a sign, all of this goes into the mass and the materials. So if that's the case, I'd like to see that too.
Sure. The only thing, and just to be clear, the only thing is signage at this point. There won't, an awning is not in the cards.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. There's nothing else coming from there. And also, obviously, for my purposes, I don't need it to be incremental. I need to get rolling, obviously, too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just if it's the solid door color, the cedar stain color, the mullion color, and the gooseneck fixtures, what color that is. Those are, I guess, the 4 ones that I see that we have all the questions about.
Okay. And my goal is to be able to submit signage very, very shortly. The logo has just been, finalized, so we're right at that point too. So maybe I'll be able to at least put it in as a placeholder,
right,
as well. Okay.
Just so you know, Michael, last month we had an incredibly long discussion about the new signage for Koya. And so that's an important component of these facades. So if you are shortly going to have that in place, then putting it on the elevational rendering would be helpful for us.
Okay.
Yeah, typically we have the sign manufacturer photoshops it onto a perspective photograph so that it's very clear.
That's fine.
So just for clarity as we go on, I agree with, but I'm hoping for a panoramic rendering that's not just 2 feet into the next retail businesses. It's a larger look. There's one I can visualize that goes 3 feet beyond your building, but there's also one that's at a distance that shows the effect of it with the three businesses next to it, or whatever that is. So that's what I visualize being able to understand.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, because this building, just so you probably already know, but goes from Rock House to the laundromat, and while it may seem to have some uniformity, it's pretty mixed up as far as the different types of looks. So
well, you're good about the Rock House. I can't see around corners, so that's okay.
Right. Okay.
Would I don't know, a photo, like a photo rendering of the actual storefronts, and then actually I don't know how you do that, but
So I know exactly how we could do it. So we have our storefront modeled in Revit. And so we can actually move the perspective around. So what we can do is marry a photograph to it.
okay.
That's the simplest way to do it without having to just render everything completely. And I think it should be pretty clear from that. And then it's easy for us to actually render our own model. So we can marry the two. I'll have to go out there and take some photographs at different angles, or Mike can do that. But we can do that. That's not that hard.
Okay, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd rather do it with a perspective anyway. It's a lot, it's a lot more lively view.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. And I'll ask you to, as you do that, think through this door issue, because and if you're solid on it, no pun intended, I'd like you to be very, very cognizant of the concern. And then we'll go forward, okay? All right, so since I think we're in agreement that there's going to be one more, at least one more visit here, Lucas, do we need to take a motion to continue this?
Yeah, motion would be appropriate.
Okay, so if somebody could make a motion and list to the best of your knowledge, and we can fill in the items that we'd like to see, please do so.
Okay, I'll give it a, please chime in if I'm missing something. I would like to move to continue this to the next available slot that's convenient for you. I think what we would like to see is both a elevation and a specific and a panoramic rendering in whatever technology you think is best, so that we can see what the design looks like in terms of, and pardon me while I get this out so I don't miss this, so that we get the design in terms of what the sign, the color, the material, the mass, and how this relates to the neighboring and connected adjoining structures. We'd also like you to think through the doorway and possible alternatives for safety's sake.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Lucas, if you could take the roll, please.
Sure. Nada Hendrick,
Approved.
Richard Brill,
Approved.
Devin Castellano,
Approved.
Doug Johnson,
Approved.
Mason Miller, Jeffrey Saad,
Approved.
and Charles Smith.
Approved for continuance. Okay, I believe that our, well, we should make a request if there are public comments prior to concluding the meeting. Karen or Lucas, do we know if there's anyone listening in or submitting questions?
There are no public comments.
Okay. Should we then confirm for the applicant when our next meeting will be?
It would be December 7th.
Okay, and I will ask our commissioners if that date will work so that we can ensure that we have a quorum there.
It works for me. What time are we thinking?
Well, that's a good question.
Well, this meeting was held at 6:30. It seemed to work for everyone. We had been meeting earlier, but I think based on a couple of commissioners' requests, we moved it to 6:30. Is that correct, or is it 7:30 there?
It's 6:30.
It's 6:30. Yeah.
So I'd move that we keep it at 6:30.
Yeah.
Let me ask it a different way. Is there anyone that cannot make the December 7th meeting? Okay, so
As of right now, yes.
yeah, right. No, I get it. I get it for all of us. So let's plan on that date at 6:30.
Okay, Charles,
Yes.
I don't see gallery view. I see Devin, but 6:30 is a rough time. It's like dinner.
Richard, this is a public commission. You'll have to eat dinner before or after.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, previously we were at 7 o'clock. Didn't we start at 7?
7:30.
7:30
previously we used to start.
Right,
So-
4 o'clock is great for me. 7 o'clock is great for me. 6:30 is the dinner. Family,
I will defer to the commission.
I'm happy with 6:30. I'm happy, whatever.
Jeff, do you prefer 7?
I mean, I would go back to 7, 6:30 works as well. I mean, I just, 4:30, I was missing multiple meetings and there's just too much going on.
Devin, which does 7 work for you?
6:30 or 7 is both fine for me.
Okay. Given Commissioner Brill's preference, why don't we, and everybody else's acceptance, let's go to 7 p.m. for the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I believe that is the conclusion of our agenda this afternoon or this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
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 Those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Michael and Joel. Appreciate the dialogue and looking forward to December 7th.
Okay, thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone. Bye.